All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raquah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work with true sincerity. And we're going to jump right into the lesson. This is 2 Corinthians 1 and 7. And it says, our hope of you is steadfast, knowing that as you are partakers of the sufferings, so shall you be also of the consolation, and that word, the comfort. So there's a comfort, there's a consolation. We'll get that word consolation. A solace, entreaty, exhortation, admonishment, encouragement, and partaking of the sufferings of being in this truth. So there's always a balance between the hell that you catch and the spiritual reward that it brings. But at the same time, you have to be very careful that the hell that you catch is not of your own doing, of your own lack of wisdom, or your lack of making right and proper decisions, because that could just bring hell upon yourself as well. There's gonna be hell that you catch that are just related for you being in the truth. And these are the things that have consolation. These are the things that have comfort. These are the things that you gotta be tempered in. For we were not brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble, which came to us in Asia, that we were pressed at a measure of our strength, and so much that we despaired even of life. Now that's very extreme right there, man. That's an extreme trial that those men went through. Paul in particular. And that goes along with what the apostles always say. The apostles always say, a lot of you don't know what you got yourself into. And what happens, brothers will tend to lose focus, and the truth, or their participation in the truth, gets swayed into something else. It gets misdirected. And then what happens, the Lord got to rebuke you. He got to sit your ass down for a bit and get you back on track. We got to be watchful of these things. The Lord is long-suffering because we are men in the flesh. But at the same time, man, you got to be careful not to just be too much full of yourself. Because there's an award, there's a comfort in suffering for this truth properly. But also you gotta make sure that you're not bringing shit upon yourself. And the best way to protect or combat that is by having a spirit of meekness. And we're going to look up that word meekness. We're just going to look it up and see what scriptures come up. Let's see here. Let's get this one right here. Zephaniah 2 and 3. It says, seek ye the Most High, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment, upheld his justice. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the days of the Lord's anger. That's the consolation. That's the comfort that walking correctly and suffering for this truth, we will be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. Basically, we will be that Psalm 91. Let's get that word meekness, humility. Let's get the word meekness right here. Humility, meekness, humanness, subjective modesty, of divine objective clemency, gentleness, humility, meekness. We're going to go ahead and get that in the Webster's 1828. It's going to type in the word meekness. Put that over there. And it says softness of temper, mildness, gentleness, forbearance under injuries and provocations. And sometimes you got to take the L. Even though you're right in what you're saying, even though you're right in where you stand, sometimes you got to take abuse, man. Sometimes you just got to take that abuse, that mistreatment, and that creates a spirit of patience within you. And also that creates a spirit of faith and trusting because you you trust the Lord that He's going to balance all that out in the end. It says forbearance under injuries and provocations. In an evangelical sense, humility, resignation, submission to the divine will, without murmuring of peevishness, opposed to pride, arrogance, and refractoriness. Galatians 5, see the for means of Mashiach, means is a grace which Mashiach alone inculcated, which no angel flower seems to have understood or recommended. Uh, it says, Bill says, he made resignation to make divine will without murmuring, peevishness, opposed to pride, arrogance, and refractoriness. I'm going to get that word refractoriness. I never looked up that word before. Refractoriness. Perverse is sullen, obstinate, opposition, disobedience. I never allowed a man's refractory against privilege nor his house. The sullen, obstinate, or disobedience. So that's what that word refractoriness means. Let's go back to the scriptures. Yesterday we did a video about the fruits of the spirit. But going back to that chapter, Galatians 5:26, meekness, temperance, against there's no law. Let's get there, no T, man, because we're talking about having meekness. So gentleness and self-control, there is no law against these things. And that's a form of virtue. That's a form of moral power. That's what virtue is. Virtue is moral power. So the scriptures going back to 2 Corinthians 1:7 is going to get that. Pause this. Or 1:6 rather. It talks about affliction. Talks about enduring sufferings. That's meekness. That's all. Just taking the L sometimes. As read in verse 7, and our hope of you is steadfast, knowing that you'll partake sufferings, so you should be also of the consolation, which is the comfort. And we read about the comfort of Zephaniah. We would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble, which came to us, nay, we pressed out of measure above strength, and so much we spared even life. But we had the sentence of death on ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves, but in Yahweh, which raises the dead. And that's going to have to be, that's coming, man. You may very well be put into life and death situations. Because everything's it's gonna go left, man. This economy, the people, jobs, ways to support and sustain and feed ourselves, it's all gonna go down the drain. And that's gonna put people in a very low position. And also it's gonna make people very desperate. And that's how they're gonna implement that order out of chaos. So these are things to consider. And it's gonna put the man of the Lord in a very meek state until he gives us those spiritual powers. Most like when we are those men, and he allows us to unleash. Going back to thou my battle axe weapon of war upon the earth. Selah. So let's go ahead and get Psalms 37:22. There's reward for all this, man. There's reward for taking the L. There's reward for going through all these things. Know what you got yourself into, and know that the latter end is going to be the best part, but the present time is going to be the worst. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Let's just put it like that. Let's go to Psalms 37:22. This is Psalms 37:22. It says, "For such should be blessed of him." I'll see. I'll start right here. I'll start at verse 18. It says, "The Lord knows the days of the upright, and their heritage shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time. In the days of famine, they should be satisfied." You don't know how the Lord's going to take care of us. It's not you could be satisfied in the sense that you know that your reward is coming. You could be satisfied in the sense that the Lord provide with substance for us. We don't know how that's going to turn out. It says, "But the wicked shall perish, and the enemy of the Lord shall be as fat of lambs." So that's going to be the sure thing. You're going to see these 2/3 of our people and the rest of these other heathens and Edomites. You're going to see them basically get judged and put to death by the Lord, using every means available. Through hunger or mass executions, violence, you name it. Suicide, that could be a very possibility. Just people dying from heart attacks because there's just too much pressure and stress on them. People dying of bad health or not being able to receive medications because they rely on them so heavily. All kinds of ways, man. And ultimately, it's going to be from the ICBM missiles. That's why it says here, they shall consume into smoke, they shall consume away. That's how the missiles are going to get them. To the wicked borrow and pays not again, but the righteous shows mercy and giveth. Yeah, that's our people right there, wicked. It's it's going to be every man for himself. But the righteous show mercy and giveth. You never know how the Lord is going to turn out these days, man. He can make it so that you with brothers and you share things, or you can make it that you by yourself and he just provides and sustains you by his own ways and means. It said, "For such be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed him shall be cut off." So that's the reward, that's the consolation, that's the comfort spoken about in 2 Corinthians 1:7. The comfort is the inheriting of the earth in righteousness. Most High when we be those elect when. And Proverbs 3:35 says that the wise shall inherit glory, but shame will be the promotion of fools. So that's what that is, man. That's the comfort. That's the consolation. There is a consolation. There is a comfort. There is going to be an overcoming. Ultimately, the Lord will make us, most high willing, we are those men, kings and priests over all the earth, as mentioned in Revelation 1:6. But with that being said, it's a real quick lesson. Hold on to the consolation. Hold on to the comfort. And have the mind state of meekness and temperance. Most High willing, edifying lesson. That would give our honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Call Allah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Brothers, keep on pushing. Shalom.